With that, we're ready to begin. Kenny Hul, your opening statement.
Thank you. 5 minutes, David?
That's correct.
All right. First of all, thank you all very much. Great to have you here. And I thank the Missouri Press Association for hosting this forum. I hope we have many like it in prime time. I appreciate the School of Journalism hosting us. My wife here is a proud graduate of the School of Journalism, this one. Our daughters, Casey and Hannah, probably being picked up from school right now and maybe listening to us live. And again, I appreciate very much this opportunity. You know, if this were a criminal trial, this would be the opening statement and would be my opportunity to try to explain to you or predict for you what the next 75 minutes would be like. Now, what's interesting is on this day, September the 11th, 7 years ago, I was at a similar forum in our nation's capital. An early breakfast debate with a Democratic senator from North Dakota. And we were debating the federal budget. And I was enthusiastically pointing out we were about to roll into our fourth year of a consecutive balanced budget. We had begun to pay down the national debt, and yet we'd hit an economic downturn, and I was enthusiastically talking about my vision to get our national economy moving. The Democratic senator began to talk about how the government wasn't doing enough and how that times were bad, and criticizing the chief executive even though he'd only been in office for a few months. And of course then that first plane that slammed into the World Trade Center brought that debate to a close. Here we are today, 7 years later on this day of remembrance, and I find myself again at a forum discussing the future of our great state, acknowledging the challenges that are before us, but enthusiastically offering bold proposals to solve those challenges. But with respect, I suspect, as Yogi Berra would say, we're likely to see deja vu all over again. You're probably going to hear some pessimism and some doom and gloom and criticism, and probably not very many solutions from others that are standing here. I want to just put out on the table, I have high regard for the Attorney General. He kept me in his employ as a special prosecutor when he was elected 16 years ago. But isn't the greatness of our country the ability to have someone, hold someone in regard, and yet be able to aggressively disagree with them and distance yourselves or define yourselves in your positions? You know, we've heard a lot about change in this election. To me, real change means having the political courage to stand on your principles and have a vision and head toward that vision. And for those of you who've allowed me to serve you in the 9th Congressional District, you know I've stood with the President when I felt he was right. I voted to override his veto when I thought he was wrong. I've taken on my own party leaders. I've censured the majority leader of Congress in my party and suffered the repercussions for it. But I did it because that's why you sent me to serve you in the halls of government. I think as candidates for the highest office in our state, we owe it to you to put forth significant proposals. I've put some bold initiatives out there, and I've invited your critique. Solutions that I think would move us in a new direction for our state. And throw rocks at it, embrace it, but let's discuss it. For instance, I'm pushing reforms on crime and public safety, focused on senior citizens, dealing with property taxes, and veterans. I proposed an energy plan for our state. I put forth measures encouraging the ethical, non-controversial research for life-saving cures, substantive job creation, higher education funding formulas, workforce development. I'm the only one up here who's expressed a commitment to dealing with our failing schools in downtown Kansas City and St. Louis. I put forward a comprehensive market-based health care plan. And yet, I don't suspect you're going to hear from any others here ideas other than let's turn the clock back and hit the reset button. Politics as usual, unfortunately. You know, 9 days ago at a University of Missouri research farm, the Attorney General expressed some support for farmers and finding markets for our products, and yet I've been criticized by doing just that with reciprocal trade agreements that tear down barriers for our ag products and manufactured goods. Last Tuesday, the Attorney General told university officials how he supported their mission and wanted to work to enhance opportunities for research, and yet 2 years ago today, the Attorney General called a press conference, maybe some of you were there, and he announced his intent to single-handedly bring down the Lewis and Clark Initiative by suing Mohila. Our state is at a crossroads. I'm offering a new way, a new direction. Unfortunately, there are those who are offering old, tired, politics. That's not the change we need. I'm Kenny Hul. I'd be honored to have your support.
Thank you, Kenny. Next up is Andy Finkenstadt.
Before I begin, I'd like to ask for a moment of silence in memory and support of the 2,719 men and women who lost their lives on 9/11. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Thank you to the Missouri School of Journalism, the Missouri Society of Newspaper Editors, to the Missouri Broadcasters Association, and thank you to the Missouri Press Association for inviting me here today to speak about the Missouri governor's race. My name is Andy Finkenstadt, and I'm the Missouri Libertarian Party candidate for governor. I bring a unique perspective on how things will be improved in Jefferson City and in Missouri at large. I'm a computer software engineer. Engineers do not create a blue ribbon panel to study an issue. Engineers solve the problems put before them. A lawyer looks at a problem and tends to say, there ought to be a law. I say in response, we have too many laws already. We don't need more. A politician looks at a problem and says, hey, we should study that. Computer programmers see a problem and address it in a more direct and methodical way. We actually solve it. Earlier, I said I was the Libertarian Party candidate for governor. The word libertarian comes from the word liberty. As libertarians, we seek a world of liberty, a world in which all individuals are sovereign over their own lives, and no one is forced to sacrifice his or her values for the benefit of others. I believe that respect for individual rights is essential for a free and prosperous world, that force and fraud must be banished from human relationships, and that only through this freedom can peace and prosperity be realized. Consequently, we defend each person's right to engage in any activity that is peaceful and honest, and we welcome the diversity that freedom brings. The world we seek to build is one where individuals are free to follow their own dreams in their own ways, without interference from government or authoritarian power. I hold that all individuals have the right to exercise dominion over their own lives, that they have the right to live in whatever manner they choose, so long as they do not forcibly interfere with the equal rights of others to live in whatever manner they choose. As they say, the right to swing your fist stops at my nose. Governments throughout history have regularly operated on the opposite principle, that the state has the right to dispose of the lives of individuals and the fruits of their labor. Even within the state of Missouri, all political parties other than the Libertarians grant to government the right to regulate the lives of individuals and seize the fruits of their labor without consent. Libertarians, on the contrary, deny the right of the government to do these things and hold that where governments exist, they must not violate the rights of any individual. What are these rights? First, the right to life. Accordingly, we support the prohibition of the initiation of physical force against others. Secondly, the right to liberty of speech and action. We oppose all attempts by government to abridge the freedom of speech and the press, as well as government censorship in any form. And thirdly, the right to property. We oppose all government interference with private property, such as the taking of one person's private property through eminent domain for the benefit of private developers, all in the name of economic development. We oppose bans against smoking in private venues. And of course, we abhor robbery, trespass, fraud, and misrepresentation. Governments should not violate individual rights, so we oppose all interference by government in the areas of free contractual relations between individuals. People should not be forced to sacrifice their lives and property for the benefit of others. They should be left free by government to deal with one another as free traders. I'm not here to tickle your ears with so-called solutions to problems that call for bigger government, regulation, and interference in your life, or so-called solutions that result in larger government spending of yet more of your tax dollars. I am here to tell you that I will reduce the taxes for everyone by reducing the size of the government. That is all I have to say. I'm out of time.